Hi guys, so I'm redoing the first video for this week, and I have to say I'm really excited about this week, this month. I got things into a shape that I'm happy with, so I hope these videos not only are entertaining and enjoyable, but impart something that you can use in your own life. So this month is a month of letting go, and I think that we all struggle with this. I do have a bit of a cautionary tale for you. So let's get into it, shall we? I wasn't good at letting things go. In fact, I didn't know how. I would hold on to something and people, I'd talk about it and, oh, just let it go. What the hell are you talking about? Oh, let it go. Oh, if I had only known to let it go, it would be gone. No, that's not how it works. I would say, how do you do that? And they would say, you just let go. It's just like, I'm gonna murder you. But I happen to be someone, we all hold on to things. We all hold on to a lot of things, and they're all painful. For the most part, if they're good, then, like if they're happy memories, then a lot of times not having those things anymore makes us sad. So that's what we're holding on to. And I happen to be someone who, they call it hard on yourself. I would take on things that were so small, and I still do it. I just have to, I'm just more aware of it and able to like relax and release and get it out of there quicker, sort of, sometimes, maybe. But what I would do is, I kind of grew up thinking that of myself as there's something wrong with me. I'm really annoying, and as much as I had a lot of friends and I was likable and I did a lot of things, I never felt comfortable in my own skin, and just always thought there was something wrong with me. And those little things get planted in your head when you're a kid, right? Like, especially when your parents put their fears on you. Oh, you're an actor. Well, it's like, shit of a bitch if you had only just. But you know what? That's ours to deal with. Those are the wounds that we needed to be wounded with. I'm alone right now, so I'm hoping that she doesn't come through the door. So I hold on to small things, and I hold on to a lot of things, or I did hold on to small things, and I did hold on to a lot of things, and they just got stuffed down there, and I didn't let them go, and so more got stuffed on top of that, and more and more and more and more and more compacted, like so stuffed in there that they merged and like formed these balls. And we'll talk more about that in a different day. We're gonna keep these separate. And it just got to be more and more and more and more and more and more and more. So not only was it all compacted in my body, but like my energy body, if you want to believe that sort of thing, I do, was completely bursting with all these, they call them samskaras. We'll get into that later. With all these things that I was holding on to. In October of 2022, there was an incident. I was just, things had gone, I had just stuffed so much in there. And then there were these major things happening in all major areas of my life. My mother had a stroke the year before, and it's still, I didn't let it go, like it's still like, oh. My sister, there's that whole thing. My father is another story. You know what I mean? Like my boyfriend, who we loved each other, but had to let go, got married, and my housemate was not paying the rent. And there was just so much happening. I went down to Florida. I was at the Alchemist Nation Summit. I was there to kind of help out. And during the summit, there were 3 different people who were like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." But yeah, okay, calm down. Ooh, that was a bit of a memory right there. But yeah, so I was really on edge. I came home and my housemate wasn't talking to me because I should have known that she needed me to call her during the weekend. And I was just like, you know what? Okay. And then one night I'm not sure if it's a dream or if it's something I convinced myself of, but it was late at night. So I had a meeting with a client of mine. That's a completely different story and something I'm working on letting go. It's a big one. I had a meeting with a client of mine on Thursday, and he got to the meeting and he was exhausted. He'd stayed up all night before, and he was just really tired. And he's a very brilliant human being, but he was having trouble, like just even like he's just like. Ugh. So we decided, okay, you know what? We'll do this next week, and we got off Zoom. In my head, what happened was. Okay, that one, we'll put that one behind. What happened was I had a dream, and I believe it was a dream, where the exact scene happened. Everything was exactly the same. We were dressed the same, we looked the same, we said the same words, but the intonation was different. And somehow, like, I thought that why did I this is not something I would have done, but I thought that I had like behaved inappropriately and that he was really pissed at me. And like, that's why we got off. That's why we got off. He made an excuse that he was tired, and we got off the Zoom call, and I flipped out. I just flipped out. Let me rewind that. I burst. I broke. It was too much. It was just too much. I hold on to these things. I take these things so deeply inside, and yet don't allow myself to fully feel them. So they're there, and they're just causing so much havoc. And I broke. I burst. There was too much, and it blew up. And I started screaming really horrible things at myself. It's things you wouldn't say to the worst person. I mean, maybe like the worst person, but still, I mean, it wasn't good energy. Even the worst person, you wouldn't want to say it because it's not good energy. I was saying really horrible things to myself, calling myself stupid, like a motherfucker, like you always do everything wrong. You just all the things that you could possibly say to yourself that makes you feel like shit. And it was not only in my head, which is where it usually was, but I was screaming it. And then, like, I would scream a sentence, then I would throw my body against a wall or the floor in an attempt, I guess, to hurt myself. And then it would happen again. And I had no control over it. I couldn't stop. I don't know. That's how my brain reacted. It's just, that's how I broke. And it was days. It was for days. I couldn't stop. There was a thought. What happens is there's a thought that was a thought cycle. It would start, and then it would go, and it would end with this conversation I had with my client. And that's when I would just flip out and throw myself against the wall and say something horrible to myself. Like, oh my, like, just, it was so terrible. And there was a point where there was less than 30 seconds between them. Not that I counted, but it was like, I'd throw myself down and then be like, like, I'd have a break where I would just say, your only job is to calm yourself down. You're doing a really good job. Just keep calming yourself down. And then it would happen again. And this went on for days. And I mean, more than days, I'm talking about nonstop. It went on for like 2 days, nonstop. There were a couple of breaks. There were a couple of breaks when my housemate would come in, but they weren't big, and it wasn't good. And then after that, the time in between these things got bigger, or got longer and longer and longer. And it was more often when I was by myself. or like doing the dishes or something where my mind could do its thing. If I was talking to someone, I was better. But months of this. And it's still not gone. I still have these anxiety attacks. They're remnants, and I'm so grateful that they are what they are now as opposed to what they were. And I know that I'm working on them, and I shall be free of them quite shortly. But they're not fun. They're not fun. I have a thought or whatever it is that stresses me out, and my entire body seizes like this, and like my face is in pain until I can get my energy back into my body and relax it and be like, okay. And it can take anywhere from like a couple of seconds to like 10, 15 seconds, you know, it depends on how stressed out I was. And then there are times when I'm able to catch it before it happens and just be like, you know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. It ranges. It ranges. It also depends on how present I'm being. So after that, it's kind of it's interesting, but my interpretation of what happened was I started releasing a lot of this tension, this energy, these things. And they were just, you know what, we'll talk about that some other time. Because that's an entirely different subject. Okay, so my notes. So that is to say, that's an extreme case, and this more than likely will not happen to you. But the point is, holding on to things hurts. It's not good for you. It can only do bad things. So, a lot of times these days, forever, since I remember, you know, you ask somebody how they're doing, and they're like, oh, I'm getting by. You know, same shit, different day. That's awful. That even feels awful to say. You know, how's it going? Oh, it's going. Like, that's not a good way to live life. That's not a good way to live life. If that's your typical answer. Same shit, different day. That's just awful. That's not what we're meant to do here. We're not meant to just suffer and barely get by and just get the stuff done that we need to get done. And oh my God, thank God I can go to bed, or lose myself in TV and completely numb myself with it, or whatever else your drug of choice is. That's not a good life. And whether you have a mood disorder or not, everybody does it to some degree or another. And the reason you're feeling that way is because of all the shit that you hold on to. And we'll get into why that is later in the week. I'm going to do all these videos today, and you're going to get them all today, but later in the week. So the question then is, why aren't we happy? If we lived in the moment, is a different thing. Stop right over there. We don't live in the moment a lot of the time, most of the time. And why are we not happy as we carry these things around with us? As we do that, life is happening. Things are happening in the moment. And we've talked about this in other months. Things are happening in the moment, but you're not experiencing it. And even if you do experience it, and it's a painful thing, it happens and then it stops. So you will bring it back up and hurt yourself with it decades after it's done. It's not happening anymore, but it's not happening outside anymore, but it keeps happening inside, and we keep damaging ourselves again and again and again. And it's not good. You know, we keep it inside, we replay it in our head. I'm like champion at having conversations aloud with someone who's not there, because I want to fix this feeling inside of me that makes me so uncomfortable. But it never does. That never fixes it. Because it's still not allowing myself to, but that's a different story. let's see. So it stays inside, and it causes the same thoughts, like I was telling you, only to a lesser degree. The same thoughts, the same feelings. We're right. Like this week is going to be very, very, very Michael Singer heavy. Pretty much everything I say is going to be like, not directly word for word from his stuff, but it's his stuff. And the reason I'm doing that is not only because it's good information, but also so you can see how it comes into play, and how it can be used. And even if it's not Michael Singer that gets you, you can use the person who gets you. You know what I mean? Who resonates with you. But these new things will come in. They aren't even related to the bad thing that happened, but they remind you of it, and you relive it again. And now that thing reminds you of it, and every time you see it, you relive it again. It's just a mess. You're rushing around. You're thinking about all the things you have to do. You're holding on to what your kid's coach said, blah, 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 blah. You know, you're worried about this. You're thinking about that. That's what does it. And we put all the stuff inside, and it makes it uncomfortable. These emotions that we're not feeling, we're feeling, but we're not allowing ourselves to fully feel. We're holding on to them. We store them inside, and it gets uncomfortable in there. It's not nice. So same shit, different day. You know, you're just carrying that shit around with you. So what is the solution? The solution is to let go. We're going to be talking more about what that means, and how to do it this week, because this is the introduction to letting go, and then we'll go into greater detail in the rest of the month. I hope you find these useful. I don't like feeling bad. None of us do, but that pain, if you're in that pain, and you know the pain that I'm talking about, if you know the pain that I'm talking about, you don't have to stay there. You don't. Listen to what I just told you. I had a nervous breakthrough, not breakdown. It was bad. It was really bad. And if I can choose to do something differently, and therefore make myself happier and make my life better, you can too. Please take that to heart, because I know in my deepest, darkest hours, I did not believe that. For decades, even not my deepest, darkest hours, which were the entire decade, but you know, the deepest, you acclimate to a certain level of depression at some point. You're always suffering, but I never believed it. I didn't think, and I was very smart. You know what I mean? We're very good at logicizing feeling bad. No, okay, no, and there's always a reason to feel bad. We choose this. I know it sounds bad, and don't blame yourself for it, because everybody does it, and you're just a human, which was an insult to me. But the fact is, we are human. We do this. It is not a reason to suffer. Now, later on, next month we'll be talking about surrender. Later this month, we're going to be talking about forgiveness. These things will help you, because I know that if you're suffering like that, you don't believe you deserve to feel better. You don't believe you deserve forgiveness or grace or compassion. But you do. You do. And it's very important to me. And I know I don't know you personally, but I'm doing this so that you can get out. Please take that to heart. It matters. You matter. Your life, your happiness, your joy matters. And I know you don't feel that way. But I promise you it does, even if you don't believe it. And I'm hoping that we can get there together. So that's it for today's version of the intro to letting go. Next month, the brain's working good. Tomorrow, we're going to be discussing what it is we are holding on to. So, I hope to see you again tomorrow. I hope this video was useful. I know it's like 20 minutes long, but I just want to say that even when you're stewing in self-hatred, I didn't think I could choose to find something to be grateful for. And even if I did, I wasn't grateful for it. There was always a reason not to be grateful. But if nothing else, and I'm not trying to sound like self-aggrandizing here, be grateful for this. I'm giving this to you. I want to help. So, even if you're in your darkest hour, you can always choose to have a great